Well, hello Lionhearts. Today we do our vlog in Lubbock, Texas, the home of the great Buddy Holly. And today's special sunglass vlog will be for Ellen Chambers. We're gonna visit the childhood home, the grave, and the Buddy Holly Museum today in Lubbock, Texas. Well, this little home right here was the childhood home of Charles Hardin Holly, with an E. E-Y originally, before he took the E out and became Buddy Holly. This is where Lawrence, his father, and Ella, his mother, and Buddy and his two older brothers lived, and this is where his two older brothers taught Buddy how to play musical instruments, taught him how to play guitar, and his dad owned a company called L.O. Holly Tile, and so Buddy worked for him for a little bit of the time. Now, how I got into Buddy Holly was one day when I was about 8 years old. On a Sunday morning, I turned on the TV and the Buddy Holly story starring Gary Busey was on TV. I'd never heard of Buddy, never heard his music, but I liked every single song in that movie that Buddy had written. Rave On, Maybe Baby, Oh Boy, Peggy Sue, That'll Be the Day, not Fade Away. Everything was amazing, and the music still lives on. It's still as great now as it ever was. This was the childhood home, so it would have been in here that Buddy would have been honing his skills singing, and his family was actually extremely supportive. I found interviews with his brother saying, you know, we went to church, and at the time when Buddy started doing this music, they started saying that it was like devil music, and he said, but how could it be devil music if our whole family liked all of it? You know, he said, I liked everything Buddy ever did, and my parents, they liked everything Buddy did too. But he used to perform at skating rinks and those kind of things, and that created a problem because he was doing his own music, and the church that he was attending claimed that that was the devil music. And Buddy's girlfriend at the time, I believe her name was Echo, Echo's family and her had a difference of opinion when it came to the religion with Buddy and what he was doing, and that eventually caused the breakup. But it would have been in this house also that he would have been living when he was forming and performing with the Crickets. So now we want to head over to Buddy's junior high school, and then we're going to head over to his high school. And Buddy would live here also when he would go off and start recording with Norman Petty, all of those historical recordings that we come to know and love. And we're also, while we're here, going to see the house that Jerry Allison lived in that Buddy wrote That'll Be the Day in. Well, here's our junior high. I'm hoping that we can find, apparently both the junior high and high school have a mural to Buddy. I'm not sure if it's indoors or outdoor, but he went to this school, obviously, and participated in the choir here. Well, we drove around the entire campus and we couldn't find the mural, so it must be on the actual premises of the school. Let's go to the high school. Now here we have Lubbock High School. This is where Buddy Holly went to high school, obviously, and met Echo, and this is also where he was in the choir program. Now we get to go do the fun part of the vlog. We're going to the Buddy Holly Center. It's got a museum, a statue, Jerry Allison's home, Buddy's guitars, his glasses, some report cards, some cool stuff. Can't wait. And if you take a look right in that mural right there, right in the B, there he is. I'd say we found it. First, I wanted to take a look at the Buddy and Maria Elena Holly Plaza. To let you know what kind of a guy Buddy was, when he met Maria Elena, it was actually at his songwriting publishing company. She was the receptionist there, and he walked in, he saw her, and he just loved her right away and asked her out on a date, and she said, I don't know if I can really go out with a musician. You know, my aunt wouldn't approve because she lived with her aunt. And he got the approval of the aunt, and on their very first date, when they sat down at dinner, he proposed to her and asked her to marry him, and they did. Now you can see over here in the plaza, they have this wonderful statue of Buddy. I can't wait to check this out. That is just an absolutely tremendous likeness of Buddy. They did a wonderful job on this, and they actually created a whole walk of fame over here for all of the famous people of Lubbock. Centered around Buddy, of course. A man who wasn't even 25 years old when he passed away. His wife was pregnant at the time with his son when the plane crashed, and unfortunately she had a miscarriage and lost it. So there was no heir to Buddy Holly, and Maria was so upset by Buddy's passing because she had had a premonition in dreams that that was going to happen, and when he decided to take that flight, he never bothered to tell her that he was going to do that. She thought he was on a bus. He didn't want to tell her because he knew she had that premonition and didn't want her to worry. So she was so upset that she actually did not go to his funeral with everyone else, and to my knowledge, never went to his gravesite. She pretty much moved back to New York right after his passing. Here you can see in the Walk of Fame, all people from the Lubbock area, and right underneath the very first plaque you have Buddy's. Contributed to the music heritage of not only the West Texas, but the entire world as a musician and composer. It is significant that the first plaque on the Walk of Fame bear his name. The citizens of Lubbock pay tribute to and honor their native son. Yeah, sadly, I mean, he was a true pioneer in rock and roll. He was responsible for helping Waylon Jennings' career take off, and many others. He helped produce people before he passed away. They say he would have done that had he lived. And he just, when they wanted to first sign him and turn him into a country singer, he stuck to his guns and said, "I hear a sound in my head. If you don't know what's in my head, then how can you tell me whether the music's right or wrong?" He stuck to his guns, and that's why we have the great Buddy Holly music we have today. Now, directly across the street from this plaza, they have the Buddy Holly Center. Let's go check that out. Now, Brooke said he just walked in the museum, and I think there's no photography policy, so we may only be able to show you from the front, and we can show you Jerry's house, and then I'll tell you about what we see inside, if that's the case. Here you can see a gigantic pair of his horn-rimmed glasses and a plaque. The plaque says, Charles Hardin Buddy Holly was born in Lubbock on September 7th, 1936 to Ella Pauline Drake and Lawrence Odell Holly, L.O. The youngest of 4 children, Buddy grew up in a musical household with his mother and siblings singing and playing instruments. Buddy showed musical aptitude, taking violin, piano, and steel guitar lessons. He took up the acoustic guitar after his brother Travis bought a $15 harmony model. Buddy, with the other young Lubbock pickers, formed several country groups, and in 1955 he saw Elvis Presley in concert and was impressed by Elvis's rhythm and performance style. Buddy and his friends were opening for big country acts at the Fair Park Coliseum when Eddie Crandall, an agent and manager, saw a performance and helped Buddy broker a Decca recording contract. Buddy's last name was misspelled on the contract. Holly, as you can see with the E, became Holly without the E. Buddy's relationship with Decca was short-lived as his early recording sessions failed to produce a hit. In 1957, Buddy and his new band, the Crickets, began working with producer Norman Petty and Clovis. On February 25th, 1957, they recorded That'll Be the Day, the first of several hits on the Brunswick label. Their success led to the band to tour widely in the United States and Canada. In 1958, Buddy Holly and the Crickets toured England. The group had a profound influence on the rock and roll in England, from their sound to Buddy's distinct look. On February 3rd, 1959, during a 3-week tour of the Midwest, Buddy's chartered plane crashed after takeoff due to bad weather. There were no survivors. Buddy Holly was only 22 years old. Now what's interesting is that in a time where looks were everything and everyone wanted to be as hot and flashy as Elvis, Buddy needed his glasses and he decided to embrace it. He didn't even wear horn-rimmed glasses before. He just decided, hey, if I'm gonna wear them, I'm gonna go all in, and he converted over to wearing these and it became his trademark. And just to let you know how influential Buddy Holly really was, Paul McCartney loved him so much that he owns, or at least last time I heard, owned the rights to all of Buddy's songs, and Keith Richards has cited Buddy Holly as one of his biggest, if not biggest, influence in music. Now here, before we go in, we can read that it says, Jerry Allison's house circa 1950s. Originally located at 2215 6th Street, this house was preserved to commemorate the songwriting of Buddy Holly and the Crickets. While at this home in 1956, Buddy Holly and J.I. Allison, original founding members of the Crickets, penned the hit song That'll Be the Day, inspired by a line from the John Wayne movie The Searchers. The single neared the top of Billboard charts in September of 1957. So that's the house. Buddy's songs all had kind of interesting stories. Like Peggy Sue wasn't even about a girl named Peggy Sue, really. It was actually about his little niece, Cindy Lou. The song was Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou, and Jerry Allison said, well, I knew a girl that I had a crush on in school named Peggy Sue, so I begged Buddy to change the lyrics to Peggy Sue, and once he did, she was mine forever. Literally, they got married within a few weeks of that song coming out, and she's always had that to her credit as always being the Peggy Sue. So that's the place that they would have worked up those songs. I believe they rehearsed in the garage, if I'm not mistaken. And it was at Jerry's house that they named themselves the Crickets, because as they were trying to record in the garage, Buddy kept hearing some sort of like high-pitched squeaking sound, and then they figured out that there were crickets in the walls. So we just finished the exhibit. We'll go outside and tell you about it. Here's a guitar signed by Paul McCartney, a huge Buddy Holly fan. And I'm gonna buy this shirt because I've never seen a Buddy Holly shirt for sale. Oh, look at that, Buddy Holly, both the sunglasses and the horn rim. I'll have to get some. Here they do have the booth from the Surf Ballroom. It was in the place the last night Buddy Holly played and was removed during renovations in the 1980s. This says Buddy had plans to start Prism Records and Holly House Publishing. Here's one of Holly's business cards and an envelope. They got these from the Norman Petty estate. That was his manager, who would never give him money and was always kind of shady. So in the end, Buddy had left him and was trying to get money from him that was owed to him. And that was the last gig. The day the music died. Well, that was an awesome exhibit. I loved it. My favorite parts were Buddy's class high school graduation ring. They had the last Stratocaster, that Sunburst Stratocaster that he was playing on the last tour, and they said that it was on the bus. He decided to take the plane, but it was on the bus and went on to the next city. They also had two of his acoustic guitars. They had his motorcycle from that famous photo out in front of Jerry Allison's house. They had, what else? A lot of his suits. They had the microphone and the recording console from RCA from when he recorded that. Just numerous, I mean, it was a lot of clothes, a lot of report cards, a lot of stuff from when he was a kid, like clay figures. And then when you first walk in, one of the things that I love the most about this museum that you don't get to see everywhere else, they actually had almost all of the furniture that he had in his last place that his family had purchased for him. They had a matching, he wanted a matching bed set. He told his family, like when he graduated, he wanted a black matching bed set, and they had that bed set that he had got, a table that his family had given he and Marina Elena, just so many things. Breck, what did you like? What were your favorites?
I was really impressed with the Ampex recording equipment and all that. I also thought it was really cool that they had that pair of glasses that had survived the crash. It had been like in the evidence locker for like years and years and years.
The ones that were in the plane crash, they actually had those glasses in there. They had some of his sunglasses that he used to wear on stage. One of the other things that I really loved was they had his very first electric guitar. It was a gold top Les Paul that he had bought, and the amplifier that went with it. And the person who bought it and owned it in Oklahoma loaned it out to this, and on the very back of the amplifier it has Buddy Holly scratched into it. They had a lot of his flight, like booking, like flight tickets, things like that, but was it worth it? Heck yeah, I thought this was a fantastic exhibit and totally worth coming out to see. If nothing else, to see those last glasses, those last horn rim glasses, and that Stratocaster, to me that was just gold. So now we're gonna head off to, unfortunately, Buddy's early final resting place over in Lubbock Cemetery. You know, I wish every cemetery made it this easy. Just a gigantic sign that points to exactly what we're all looking for. It's pretty easy to find. He's right here. So as most of us may know, sadly enough, Buddy was having his money withheld from his manager, Norman Petty, former manager. So Buddy needed to go out and make a few bucks, and decided to join the only tour that was available, the Winter Dance Party. It had been plagued with problems. The buses were cold, they had no heat, they were breaking down a lot, and it was just starting to eat away at everyone. So after the show in Clear Lake, they found out that Buddy had chartered a plane. He was gonna take him and his band to the next town so that they could get some sleep, do some laundry mainly, and just get a little bit of warmth. Originally, Waylon Jennings was supposed to be on that flight, and he was asked to trade seats. He did, and within moments, literally minutes of takeoff, that plane crashed, taking Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, and Buddy Holly. It was a day that rocked rock and roll. It's the day the music died. And as I mentioned, this was a flight that Buddy's wife had had a premonition that something was going to happen, so he didn't want to tell her that he was doing this. So it was a complete shock to her when she found out, and she almost couldn't handle it. She did have a miscarriage. She didn't go to the funeral. Buddy Holly had no heirs, and literally the music died, except for what was recorded. I have always wanted to come here. This is a 30-year dream come true. And of course, you can see that they left the E in his last name. And people leave guitar picks and coins and all kinds of things here. The great Buddy Holly. Now right next to him you can see his father, Ello, what they called him, Lawrence, and his mother, Ella. So since I'm a huge fan, I decided to put a few things that I picked up at the museum down there. My shirt, the glasses I picked up, Ellen, your glasses, and a Buddy Holly patch. So I'm gonna put down a guitar pick and leave one here for Buddy. It's actually my friend Stefan Adika's guitar pick that he gave me, and I use it all the time, so I'm gonna leave it here for Buddy. Well, if you weren't a Buddy Holly fan before, I hope you go check out his music. Ellen Chambers, I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and thank you everyone for watching. It meant a lot to me. I am a huge Buddy Holly fan. Have a great night, everyone, and goodbye.